Dr. K is a man who I have admired for many years. He has been on Twitch for I don't even know how long. I mean, probably before I even found the platform to begin with. He's a psychiatrist that tries to help people specifically. Well, I believe it's young men. I mean, I'm sure it's young men and women, but it's probably mostly men because I believe it's a majority men who are on Twitch anyway. Help them kind of find a purpose and meaning in life, those who are struggling with depression and things like that. But recently he had the pleasure of being on the Diary of a CEO YouTube page, which is another guy that I really respect because he has just a ton of people on that discuss a plethora of topics that it's just interesting to hear from experts in their fields about what's going on in the world and different ways that you can kind of optimize your life. And I really do appreciate that channel. But recently, there's a short clip of him that's been blowing up on the internet of him discussing suicidal people and kind of why they're in that state. I mean, not for all of them, but a majority, at least of what the ones he's worked with. And people were not happy because it's the internet. They're always going to just take things out of context and things like that. So I'm going to play the clip and then we'll read some of the Twitter threads about this clip that's gone viral.
So the number one thing that correlates with male suicide is not depression. And this is super scary. There's one study I saw recently that suggests that 50% of men who kill themselves have no history or evidence of mental illness. And this, I believe the statistic in my clinical practice because I know what depression looks like. I know what bipolar disorder looks like. And half the men that I've worked with, at least, are not actually mentally ill. See, mental illness means a pathology of the mind, which means that the mind is malfunctioning. Most of the suicidal men that I work with, their mind isn't malfunctioning. They genuinely have a life that is no longer worth living. They're looking at things and objectively realizing that there's no way out of this situation. So they turn to suicide. So I know it's kind of like a very controversial statement, but I think that's what my clinical practice has shown, and there's some research to even back that up.
So that's the clip that has been bouncing around the internet, and people are furious. I'm not really sure why. I mean, there is somebody, a lot of people who are aligning with him, and because they kind of understand who Dr. K is as a person, and if you've seen any of his content for any length amount or any amount of time, English, you would know that he's just trying to help people and he comes from a genuinely good place, at least from what I've seen of him. I mean, I don't know him in person, but he seems like a genuine guy just trying to help people. And I would agree with him on his take because if he has that practice, that the technicals for that, to the numbers, if you will, to show that a majority of these guys who are doing it, it's not necessarily suffering from a mental illness, it's just lack of purpose and meaning in life. And I definitely can understand that because especially nowadays with social media, here we go again. It paints a picture like you're supposed to be living this life, and if you're not, then you're not optimizing life, you're not living life to the fullest. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in life. And so that can kind of bog down on a lot of people because they see these guys who made millions, who would just have women everywhere, driving fast cars, huge houses, stuff like that. And they don't have that, and they're like, well, obviously, I'm not good enough. I am missing something. I wasn't lucky enough, and things like that. And so, if you've seen any of his content, he's really just trying to help these young, specifically young guys. I mean, I'm sure obviously young women apply to this too. Just trying to help them understand that that is not life overall. I mean, at the end of the day, life is more about the connections you make, the friends you have, the the purpose that you make for yourself, if you will. You have to find meaning in yourself in life because if you're trying to find it from other people, it's just not sustainable because everybody will want something else from you, and if you try to please everybody, you'll please none. And that's something I had to personally learn myself. It's like it's okay to, in the beginning to try and be a people pleaser, but I mean, you eventually learn that you just can't please everyone. So it's better to do things that align with yourself and try and surround yourself with people that you would like to be around and maybe even imitate in a way and try and glean from them and try and build up yourself to be more like other people, not trying to mirror them, but maybe just try and take certain things that you admire about them to implement it into your life. That's one thing I've done a lot too with people on the internet. That's why it's a balance almost. Like you have to be able to glean information without like overly being overly envious of what other people have. Like we'll say for Dr. K, he's somebody who is very well versed, very intelligent. That's something I would like to emulate in myself, which I could do with more reading, more vocabulary, and things of that nature. But I don't want to like try and be Dr. K because I can never be him. I can only be myself, but I can always take from other people or learn from other people, if you will. And so we'll look at some of the Twitter posts here. It says Zoomers are really mad at Dr. K for actually taking suicidal people seriously and trying to devise a solution to their issues instead of just branding them mentally ill and giving them antidepressants. Peak Zoomer behavior, TBH. And the original post, I believe, is the one from Viathan there. This is Dr. K. Most of the suicidal men that I work with, their mind isn't malfunctioning. They genuinely have a life that is no longer worth living. Dang. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's from the research that I've seen that goes on with this topic, it really is that. It's men that have, and women, of course, that have lost that drive, that will to something that gives them purpose in their life, something that can look forward to every morning to get up. I mean, I've seen it even with myself back right after high school and things like that. I mean, really, it's not even that I was just depressed. It was like there was nothing really to look forward to in waking up, if you know what I mean. Like I just got up whenever I got up. I did whatever. I was just kind of a blob, if you will, not really striving to anything or be anything for myself. And then once I found things that I enjoyed to do by getting up and then starting my day, it was really no issue. I mean, obviously, I'm not where I'd like to be. I definitely have way higher heights that I'd like to attain. But we also just take it a day at a time because I realize life, it's cliche. Life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Sure, there's sprints in the marathon, but overall, it's a marathon. I just have to take it day by day and just try and be better every day to get to that goal that I've set. And I still have days where it's like, is it even worth it? There's guys who are my age or even younger who are way farther than I am. And obviously, that's discouraging, as it would be for anybody if you're trying to be something. But I also have to understand that I'm not them, I'm me. And so I have to do what I can do to try and be better. And so I can't find the like original like the main comments where people were like getting mad. This is like a uh, a response thread, if you will, to it. And it says it ain't just on Zoomers; it's the stigmatization of suicidal people. If it's their environment and not internal, that means people around them can't tell themselves it's not their fault. That's very true. I mean, it's just the life that we have been unfortunately um, indicted with recently with social media and things like that. Taking suicidal people seriously does not equal affirming suicidal ideation and justifications. That's also true. That's also true. I mean, it's at the end of the day, he's just trying to help people realize that it's not a mental illness. They just have to flip it around to, I guarantee not all of them, of course, but a majority of them, and as is Dr. K is trying to say, if he can help them find at least one thing to find purpose in, to then start moving one foot at a time, to start going towards something, I guarantee at least some of those thoughts would go. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying it would disappear forever. But once you find things to help you start moving along, those thoughts will start becoming less prevalent in your life, if you will. As somebody, I wouldn't say I've had those thoughts specifically, but thoughts of giving up and things like that, they start to dwindle a little bit once you start to attain more and more and start making baby steps towards goals. And so that's what Dr. K was trying to say. For all the people who are trying to diss him and things like that, it's like, you just got to understand, he's trying to help people. From what I've seen, he's just a really nice dude. And so the people who are trying to berate him and things like that, they're just taking it out of context, as they will anything. I'm sure there's stuff that people take myself out of context too. It's the internet. I mean, you can't do anything about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about the whole Dr. K situation. If you like him, if you don't like him, why you do or why you don't. What your take is on the tendencies of these people, and if that is a logical way or if there's a better way to do it. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, and I hope to see you guys around. Peace.